So, good morning, and welcome to what is the first video of a series of videos I'm going to be producing throughout the Christmas break here in Germany. We can't go out, we can't go, we are all in lockdown here, but I've decided to make and post a video every day of my book collection. I have a very extensive collection of art and design books. I have more back in Canada, but I also have a really extensive collection here in Germany. And I've decided to share it with people. So every morning I'm going to post a video of a flip through. And hopefully you guys will find some inspiration and maybe learn a bit about some new illustrators. This book here is a treasure of mine. This is Bible Stories for Prayers and Children, obviously, illustrated by Janet and Anne Graham Johnstone. If you don't know who these women are, you really should. These two women, they were sisters. They were from England. And from the 1950s through the 1970s, they illustrated a huge number of children's books. They also did work in TV for British television. They had the opportunity to design a theme park in Scandinavia that unfortunately fell through. So we never got their theme park, but yeah, they were extremely prolific and very popular and very, very influential on other artists because, of course, they worked so long. Their books are very hard to find, especially a hardcover edition like this is really a treasure. I was lucky enough to pick this one up at a local book swap. So yeah, they were twin sisters. They never married. They lived with their mother in the countryside. They went to art school at a very young age. What's interesting is that they always worked together. So up until 1979, each book was illustrated by both sisters. Janet handled the animals and was especially good at horses. And Anne handled the people and the costumes. They would pass pictures back and forth to each other. So really, every book that came out was a collaborative effort. And they did this for years and years and years. They did the original 101 Dalmatians book. They did a huge number of fairy tales, a huge number of books on Greek and Roman mythology that are extremely difficult to find. A good copy, like a good hardcover original edition, can go for hundreds. I mean, I've seen over $200 being asked for these books if they're in really good condition. So what happened is they worked together for many, many years. They shared a studio. And there was a fire in 1979 in the kitchen, and Janet unfortunately died of smoke inhalation. And her sister at this point, Anne, was left with a massive number of contracts and could have quit. She could have said, you know, I can't handle this, but instead she decided to keep going. And I'll just keep flipping through here. I'll maybe move a little bit forward. You can really see the 70s colors here coming out. This is really nice. Anyway, so her sister, Anne, kept going, and she rolled up her sleeves and got her brushes wet and learned how to draw horses and animals herself. And she became so good at it, she actually won an award for equestrian illustration. So I think they have a really tragic, it's a sweet, but it's a tragic story. And I think it would be really cool to see like a movie or a mini series or a documentary about them. Unfortunately, like a lot of people just don't seem to know them. They're not a household name like some other illustrators are for whatever reason. I see that that's happened to some, to quite a few actually illustrators who were really popular in the 1970s. And I actually have a couple books that I'll be going through that are more like that. But you can see really how skilled they were when it comes to expressiveness, to the details on the costume, to color. I really love how they paint fabric. The texture. They handle a lot of different styles. Their fairy tale work is really good. You can see here the influence of sort of the medieval work, with the little scrolls and the florals going around. This is so 1970s. This is just really very, very much representative of the children's illustration of the time. And then you have something like this with this wonderful wood texture. So yeah, and Johnstone kept going. She kept painting, and she eventually died. She died in 1988 of cancer. I think she only outlived her mother by a little bit. Her mother had also died of breast cancer. Their mother had been quite ill, and so they had really spent a lot of time taking care of her, just living in this little house in the countryside, painting away. But they had a very long and a very prolific career. They did so much work. Really, like I said, even for Disney, they were very influential. If you watch the original animated 101 Dalmatians, that's their style of work, absolutely. So I think, more people really should know about them. A lot of people who are my age or older had their books as children, but unfortunately, for some reason, they've just gone out of print, and I think that's really unfortunate. They're extremely skilled. I really wish that their books on Greek and history, Greek mythology and history, were still in print. I think that they deserve to be back in print more often. I would really like to see that. You can see here, they even draw adults so well. And just the folds of the fabric, the background. This is, of course, mostly gouache. They were really masters of gouache, which is something that I struggle with a little bit. You look at the hands here, you look at this boy's hands, the animal, the gesture is always so good. The movement is always so good. The expressions are always so good. This is also another favorite one here. And I really love their use of colored backgrounds as well. And of course, you can see that they're painting on a colored background. They're extremely good at painting on colored backgrounds in a way that I feel that I haven't seen for a lot of other artists. You can see this green coming through in the skin and the hair and the pants, coming through in the lamb's wool. I can't think of many other artists who really handled colored backgrounds this well. And of course here you can see how good they are at rendering transparency. You look at even here, this angel's hair going up like flame. They are, to me, really inspirational. Here again, you have an extremely 1970s facial style, but really sweet. And here, of course, you can see how great they are at painting backgrounds and using this intense green background as the starting point. And that comes through in the shadowed side of the house. It comes through here in the foreground in these poppies that haven't bloomed. Just very, very skilled. This one is a little bit flat. I love their horses. Their horses are really delightful. You can see that they, I personally feel as an artist who works a lot with horses as well, you can see how often they worked with horses in real life and how that translated to their skills in drawing equines. They're very good at it. This is also here a very 1970s spread. I love just the yellow coming through and permeating everything with the children interacting. The hair. I think if you want to study how to draw clothing and how to draw children, how to draw animals, how to use color and composition, they are an excellent starting point. And I really treasure this book. I have another book on order that's a compilation of their work. It's really the only one in print. I think it's very unfortunate that there are not more compilations of their work out there, like more definitive collections. There really isn't a definitive collection. You have to either try to buy individual books on Amazon or on eBay or through used bookstores. Definitely, if you were to look through a used bookstore or like a charity shop and you were to see one of their books, I would snap that right up. I mean, this one I also got this book had a really big book swap, and I was just like, oh, score! It's one of the most precious books in my collection, just because it's so big. It has so much of their work. Yeah, and I mean, even in terms of historical costume, they're just phenomenal. So yeah, and here you can see at the end how well they handle working on a black background, just using um, colors over black, and how well that works in the forest. They're really phenomenal, and they deserve far, far more interest from contemporary artists. So yeah, this is the first book of this little series, and I hope you guys enjoyed this flip through. It's a really wonderful book. I'm eagerly awaiting my compilation. We'll have to see if through the year I can't find a couple more examples of their work. But yeah, so until tomorrow, have a good day.